Are you currently in the US on a visitor visa and thinking about taking up studies while you're here? Well, keep watching for some tips on changing your status to F student. Hi friend, and welcome to The Immigrant Lawyer. My name is Leah and I'm a California attorney by day, yoga Pilates instructor by night, and millennial mom at all other times. In this video, we'll do an overview of the change of status process. There are two main ways to obtain F student status. First is by applying for an F student visa at a US embassy or consulate abroad. And second, which is the topic of our video today, is applying for change of status while physically present in the US through USCIS. For the change of status process through USCIS, you can initiate that by first applying for and gaining admission into your program of study at a college or a university. And once you're admitted and have your signed I-20s and have paid your USCIS fee, then you can move on to applying to change of status for USCIS. Now, the forms that you will need for the change of status application include the I-539 for the principal applicant, which is the application to change non-immigrant status, as well as the I-539A for each dependent that you have, so a spouse or a minor child who entered the US the same time and on the same status as you, and the I-134 Declaration of Financial Support if you will be using a US citizen or permanent resident financial sponsor who is willing to support your stay and studies in the US. For supporting documentation, you will need your immigration documents for the principal and dependent applicants, and these include your passport biographic pages, your current US visas and admission stamp, and your most recent I-94 record of admission. You will also need evidence that you are able to financially support your studies here in the US. So for the principal applicant, if you have bank accounts or real estate holdings in your home country, or if you are using the financial sponsor, then you will need to include evidence that you have the means to support your studies in the US. As mentioned, you also need to include your signed I-20, your university admission letter, and proof that you've already paid the USCIS fee. It would also be helpful to include a declaration from the principal applicant explaining why you're requesting change of status in the US instead of applying for an F student visa at a US embassy or consulate abroad. And I'll leave a sample declaration in the description below. In essence, the declaration talks about why the applicant is going through the change of status process and the hardships that the applicant and or their dependents will face if they had to leave the US and apply for an F student visa abroad. And for any dependents, you'll also need to include proof of their relationship with you to the principal applicant. So if you have a spouse, include your marriage certificate and birth certificates for any minor children. The current filing fee for the I-539 is $370, as well as biometric services fee for each applicant. So for the principal applicant and each dependent applicant, and that is $85 per person. And USCIS now prefers that the I-539 filing fee and biometric services fee are paid separately. So for example, if you are writing a check, then you'll need one check for the $370 I-539 filing fee and a separate check for the biometric services fee combined. And USCIS now prefers that the I-539 filing fee and biometric services fee are paid separately. So for example, if you are writing a check, then you'll need one check for the $370 I-539 filing fee and a separate check for the biometric services fee. And as long as you apply for change of status while your current non-immigrant visa is valid, then you will no longer need to bridge the gap while waiting for your change of status to F-student application to get approved. Now, this means that, for example, if you are on a B2 visitor visa and while your B2 is still valid, you apply for the I-539 change of status and your B2 ends up expiring while your I-539 is still pending, you no longer need to keep trying to extend your underlying visitor visa as long as your I-539 is pending. Starting June 2023, the I-539 change of status to F-student is also now available for premium processing Form I-907 for an extra $1,750. So if you are interested in premium processing, which guarantees an adjudicative action on your case in 30 days from filing, compared to regular processing, which is anywhere from 6 to 8 up to 12 months, then you also need to include that extra premium processing fee. Some other things to keep in mind in changing status while in the US is that it would be good to wait at least 90 days from your last entry on a visitor visa or whatever non-immigrant visa you entered on before applying for change of status. And that's because this 90-day period is that if you entered the US on a visitor visa, then the intent is that you were coming to the US only to visit and not to study. So it'd be good to wait at least 90 days to then apply for a different type of non-immigrant visa status. Another consideration is that if you do choose to go through the change of status process within the US, then you won't get a new F non-immigrant visa in your passport, allowing you to leave and travel outside of the US. You will still need to apply for an F student visa at a US embassy or consulate abroad to do that. And the recent trend is that the US embassies and consulates abroad have been a bit more critical in approving F student visa applications if the person did change of status in the US. So just another thing to keep in mind. And USCIS will set your F student status validity from the date that your I-539 application is approved. Thanks for tuning into this video on change of status to F student. Feel free to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one, give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment below with any questions, as well as share your experience with the community. See you next time.